Today we have a new novel. Actually, it's a novella, short novella, and the Old Man and the Sea, written by Ernest Hemingway. And before we go to explain the novel, Milad will explain about the life of the
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for coming today. Today we are here, as I said, for a presentation, and the topic which we are responsible for it to present is The Old Man and the Sea. First, I will talk about author biography, then my amigo will talk about background, and finally we'll just explain the story. The biography of one of the most important 20th century writer, Ernest Miller Hemingway. Hemingway was born in Echo Park in Chicago in 1899 and began his writing in 1917 in a newspaper office. His father was a doctor who interested in fishing and always advised his sons to be a fisherman. But his mother, and sometimes give him net and forced him to go and fish. But his mother was deeply in religion, and she wanted his sons to be a minister in church. But Hemingway himself wanted to be a great writer. During First World War, after United States involved as a support for Italy, Hemingway was a great volunteer as an ambulance driver in Italian front, but had been seriously wounded during serving infantry, and after that he moved to United States and there he hospitalized in hospital under supervision of a beautiful nurse, which somehow fallen in love with her, and she was an excellent idea for Hemingway to write one of his interesting novel, A Farewell to Army, which was exactly published in 1929. The story was about a doctor, it was about a commander and his soldiers. The commander does not believe in love and does not believe in fighting, but at the same year he fallen in love and he fight. But he fight without any intention, without to knowingly break where. When the war is over, he come to his sense that why in one hand I protect somebody, I do everything for her, and in the other hand I kill innocent people. Hemingway say a good writer should be an adventure person, travel a lot to know what's going in the world, and write something which will benefit for the whole world. He married 4 times in his life. He said, I spent the good time with last one. Even he divorced the last one too. Hemingway published his first book with the title 3 Stories and 10 Poems. 3 Stories and 10 Poems exactly published in 1923. 3 Stories and 10 Poems is a collection of short stories which Hemingway illustrate humanity and competitive nature. But he was still poor, and he complained, he said that it's not like either I'm not a good writer or people are not good reader. But his dream ultimately fulfilled by publishing Man Without Woman. Man Without Woman is the second novel which consists of short stories that Hemingway talk about some interesting subjects such as undefeated, bullfighter, divorce, and some other interesting. But the one who had a great influence on me was Indian Camp. It's a short and it's about 5 pages, and I bravely will explain it for you. The story was about a doctor who is going to see a patient, and that patient is a pregnant lady, but she lives in rural, deprived from hygienic service. And despite the fact the doctor does not bring anything with himself, just a soap to wash his hand, and he's 10 years old to show him his career in life. When they arrived there, the pregnant lady lived in a cabbage, and inside the cabbage was a latrine and a bunk. A bed was 2 floors. In bottom, the pregnant lady under a quilt, and at top, her husband who injured his leg by an axe. But in reality, he is not suffering from his injury. He suffered because he couldn't tolerate the pain of her wife. When the doctor tested the pregnant lady, he told his sons the baby come in a natural way. So in this case, she need an operation. He did, but before he start, his son told his father, "How happy should I be if you give this poor lady something to reduce her pain?" But his father replied and said, "Don't worry about this kind of people. They are second people and we are so different from them." The doctor did the operation with a sharp knife and saw it was a needle, and the poor lady became unconscious from the pain. When it finished, the doctor told his son to look at what her husband doing. When the boy voice Lansran and he uncovered the blanket from her husband, he saw that her husband saw his through and at her eyes was a sharp knife because he couldn't bear, he couldn't tolerate the pain. And the son immediately told his father, "I will never die because we are not second people, we are first kind of people." And instead of showing his sons something good, his sons faced something which was beyond from his wisdom. Hemingway published The Old Man and the Sea in 1951, and he got Nobel Prize because of that, especially because of The Old Man and the Sea, but was not able to attend at Nobel celebration because he was in Spain at that time, and he especially went there for watching bullfighter and hunting. Hemingway in 1961, he thought that he saw everything. He had experience about everything, just this is left. To know it, to test it, he killed himself. Hemingway himself, a great sportsman, wanted to portray bullfighter, soldiers, tough, a time primitive, people who courage and honesty set against brutal way of modern society, and who induce this argument lose hope and faith. His clear dialogue and his advices are shown in some of his novel, especially Man Without Woman. I know it's also turn to talk about introduction.
The Old Man and the Sea is a novella written by Ernest Hemingway in 1951 in Cuba, and after that, in a year, published in 1952. It was the last major of his work. The Old Man and the Sea was one of his famous work to be produced by the Ernest Hemingway. The Old Man and the Sea was centers upon Santiago, the old aged fisherman who went far out sailing in the sea and struggling with a giant marlin fish, a big fish. The Old Man and the Sea was awarded by a Pulitzer Prize in a fictional novel in 1953. And it was contributing for awarding Nobel Prize of Literature in 1954. The Old Man and the Sea is a novella about an old fisherman who was first he was calling them the champion because he was such a brave man and like a super fisherman. But his bad luck led him to sailing for 84 days without catching any fish. So the fishermen around him make fun of him because he didn't catch any fish for 84 days. So after that he decided to how like keep his reputation and back his loyalty. He went to sail far out in the sea in order to get a fish. And then when he went out, he got out so far. Then till he didn't see the land anymore. and then he catch a big fish, marlin, and he struggled with that fish for several days and nights. At the end, he could catch that fish, but in his way back to home, he lost much of the flesh with that fish to sharks. And now we will complete the characters.
There are three main characters in the novel. First is old man, which his real name is Santiago. And he's from Cuba. He's struggling, he's fighting with himself and associate for the purpose of making to create a great man. And the second one is Manlin, the baby, the boy who is at service of the old man. And third is Marley, who is a delicious and richest fish in the Sea of Cuba. And that's it.
The background of the old man and the sea. The idea of writing this novel begins first when Hemingway posted a long essay in Esquire magazine. That was in April 1936. This essay was containing a paragraph, which like a story talking about an old fisherman who went far out in the sea and catch a huge, a giant marlin. Hemingway, after he moved to Cuba in 1936, he meet such a fisherman. His name was Fontas. So this man was the first man who meet Hemingway in Cuba, and he talked about his experience and a giant fish he catched to Hemingway. So he get the idea from it's like his story is fictional, but most likely based on a real life fisherman. As I said, his name was Santiago. So he started to plan and thinking to how to develop this especially paragraph. It was in the essay, and how to make it a full story to be included with a large part of his volume. After Hemingway moved to Havana, he began to start The Old Man and the Sea, and at the first it was like just a short story. He wrote it in 1951, as I said, and then he published in 1952. So the Old Man and the Sea has become a novella, and the time when he posted in that essay in that magazine, in 2 days, I think, in 2 days, the 5 million copies with that magazine were sold in 2 days. So it was a big opportunity for him to people saw this essay, and after that 153,000 copies with the Old Man and the Sea were sold, and this made his novel to become a novel with the month. And then this success with Old Man and the Sea made Hemingway to become an international celebrity, and he gets the Pulitzer Prize in fictional novel. And after that, he get assumed to contribute in Nobel Prize. The Old Man and the Sea